At the beginning of the 19th century, industrialization led to one of the most influential forms of transportation mankind has ever seen. A vehicle that both literally and figuratively changed the landscape of the world as we once knew it. What's up, my fellow historians? My name is Kyle Reynolds, and on today's 5-minute flashback, we're learning all about trains, how they were invented, what their impact was on the industrial world, and more. For several years prior to the first working locomotive, many engineers were researching ways to power engines using steam, and later pondered how to make these engines mobile. James Watt, a Scottish inventor, engineer, and chemist, built upon old models of steam engines to make them more efficient. He laid the groundwork for Richard Trevithick to patent a high-pressure engine that he used to create the first locomotive on rails in 1802. On February 21st, 1804, Trevithick's high-pressure tram engine completed its first trial, where it carried 10 tons of iron, 5 wagons, and 70 men above 9 miles in 4 hours and 5 minutes. For the first time, railways had a vehicle that could run on an engine instead of using human or animal labor for power. The sky was the limit. Well, not really. Trains were and still are very much limited to the ground. The tram engine was revolutionary, but it wasn't exactly the most reliable way to get around. The challenge now became to make steam locomotives accessible enough to be considered a viable means of rail transportation. For the next several years, English and American inventors alike were determined to bring locomotives to the masses. In 1829, the English father-son team of George and Robert Stephenson created a locomotive named Rocket, which won a competition held to find the best way to move wagons along rails. Meanwhile, in America, John Stevens petitioned Congress to support a national railroad. The petition was not successful, but Stevens later became the founder of one of the first American railroads, the Camden and Amboy Railroad. Philadelphian Matthias Baldwin established his own locomotive plant in 1831 and became the best American locomotive manufacturer this side of the Mississippi. Through the 1830s, steam trains were an international smash hit, and everyone wanted on board. New railroads were being created, and new design features were being implemented to streamline the process. John Jervis designed a locomotive with a 4-wheeled guide truck to allow traveling on the curvy, mountainous American landscape. Another new feature was the angled pilot put in front of a train to deflect obstacles and keep it from derailing. Americans also started making their trains from cast iron, which was much cheaper and lighter than the wrought iron used by their British counterparts. Within the next decade or two, railways in both America and Great Britain spanned thousands of miles and were transporting millions of passengers. Railroads and steam engines became synonymous with industrialization and completely redefined what it meant to live in the modern era. Shortly after the revolution, trains played a pivotal role in one of the United States' most brutal conflicts, the American Civil War. The Civil War started in 1861 as a product of growing tensions between northern and southern states over slavery and other rights, and eventually led to the South seceding from the Union after the election of President Abraham Lincoln. A hard line was drawn in America between the northern Union states and the southern Confederate states. A distinct advantage of the Union was their more condensed cities and many railroads to connect them. The Union could transport food, supplies, and even infantry much faster than the Confederacy. Along with the invention of the telegraph, which came about shortly after trains and railroads and allowed for instantaneous communication to other cities, the North's superior access to technology allowed them to control the flow of the war, which eventually led to the South's surrender in 1865. Today, trains continue to be among the best methods to transport goods in large quantities and are still unparalleled as a form of mass transportation on land. Trains and railways are continuing to innovate, such as the famous Japanese bullet trains, which now travel at speeds of up to 175 miles per hour and run on electricity instead of coal-powered steam. While the iconic imagery of a smoke-blowing locomotive may one day just be a picture in a book, or maybe a design on a sweater, the creation of the steam engine undoubtedly revolutionized the world and changed what was possible for mankind. What do you think about trains? What's your favorite way to travel? Let us know by leaving a comment down below or sending us a tweet. If you haven't yet, subscribe to our YouTube channel, ZTV 5-Minute Flashback. Follow us on Twitter, like us on Facebook, and show us some love on Instagram. Until next time, this is Kyle Reynolds reminding you to go out, enjoy life, and stay curious.
This program was produced by ZTV at the University of Akron. Do you want to gain experience in video production, professional social media, or working with real clients? Visit the UA School of Communications online or follow us on social media to learn more. ZTV, make media, make a difference.